Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today inside the depths of AMG's HQ in Affalterbach, Germany for a first look at the brand new Mercedes-AMG C63 S E-Performance. The latest generation C63 has arrived with a new hybrid powertrain, the 2-litre turbo 4-cylinder up front with the electric motor and battery at the rear. Lots to talk about because this produces a whopping 680 horsepower. Now, not only do we have the high-tech silver saloon, the sedan right here, but also we're checking out the graphite grey Magno Estate, the T-Model, to run through lots of the different options, the spec, all of the details today about this latest introduction, a car that we have been waiting to see, but it is now here in all of its glory. So let's have a full first look run through of the new AMG C63 S E-Performance. I know what you're thinking, a C63 without a V8, but bear with me because this is an incredibly clever machine. There's a lot that we need to take a look at, and the step up from 510 horsepower in the previous generation to 680 is enormous. Now, for the C63 S E-Performance, everything forwards of the A-pillars is entirely new. It's longer, it's wider, these wider arches, the distinct AMG styling and look around the front, but there's also one other change which is going to be across the board going forwards for AMG, and that's the inclusion of an all-new badge. The AMG crest, the Affalterbach crest, is going to be on the front of every model from AMG from this point. Now, the hybrid system in here, based around this 2-litre turbo 4-cylinder engine with the battery and motor at the back, is a P3 system, similar to its big brother, the AMG GT 4-door 63S E-Performance, making over 800 horsepower, but the development of the combustion engine that we've seen from some of the other models, combined with the 4MATIC Plus system, the clever four-wheel drive system, the rear-wheel steering, the 9-speed AMG speed shift gearbox, a very clever new suspension setup, and plenty more. But the differences between the two cars go beyond the body shape, also in terms of the options. This car has the extended aero kit, so the larger rear spoiler. It also has the carbon fiber packages, with that, the rear diffuser, and plenty more around as well. The other car in the graphite grey Magno, which coincidentally is the colour that I originally ordered for my GT Black Series, has a different set of wheels, a few other options on the inside. Now, talking inside, there's also a new second generation AMG performance seat to come and show you in here as well. The new seats, if we come and have a look at these, actually have a cutout here, saving some weight, allowing some breathability as well. Also inside, we have the full C-Class interior with infotainment through the touchscreen, the new style steering wheel, and the digital dashboard, all of which we can have a better look at in just a moment. But I think the first and most important thing that we need to touch on with this car is to explain and understand a little bit more about the powertrain. A few quick words about the exterior of the car before we pop the bonnet and dive into the powertrain. It is distinctly C63, taking the C-Class, dialing it up. In fact, the car is actually 83 millimeters longer than standard, which includes a wheelbase that is extended by 10 millimeters, and 50 millimeters of that is up at the front, of course, to house the additional cooling and radiators that are required, considering the amount of power that it produces. Not only that, though, you have these notably wide arches because the car at the front axle is 76 millimeters wider, over 7.5 centimeters wider, but it gives it that look, it gives it that presence, and of course it enables the space up here to house both the engine as well as the four-wheel drive system, which we need to explain in detail. We have that familiar AMG grille with the vertical slats which flank the three-pointed star, which also acts as your adaptive cruise control radar sensor. You've got the camera system. Down here, you can see opened at the moment are the air panels, which actually open and close depending on the cooling requirements, further cooling to the radiators that you find around towards the side. Then up on the top of the bonnet, you've got these power bulges with the narrow air outlet just in the center there to help with the airflow management. But let's get this opened up so we can have a better look at it and run through some of the numbers, the facts and the figures. So down here, give a pull of the lever, and let's come round to open up the bonnet, to open up the hood, pull the catch, and then we have the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine produced and assembled right here in a Falterbach, finished with a signature on the plaque of the person responsible for assembling that specific combustion engine. In this case, it produces 476 horsepower, that's 350 kilowatts, along with 545 newton meters of torque. Plenty of power through significant upgrades in comparison with the previous iterations and versions of this power plant found in different AMG models, the likes of the A45 and the CLA45, for example. But that's only half the story. Yes, you've got the combustion engine up front, but it links to the electrics that you have towards the back. This P3 hybrid, with the way that it's all mounted and the way that it operates and that it's controlled, and there's not, of course, a huge amount to be able to take a look at back here. It's actually buried underneath the boot floor, but under here you have your 6.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. You can get a continuous 70 kilowatts of power or a peak of 150 kilowatts. That actually produces 204 horsepower, 150 kilowatts, of course being the direct translation, and you can drive on electric range as well for a short distance. So the benefit of this all combined is your acceleration from a standstill, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, is only 3.4 seconds, whether you're in the saloon or if you're in the estate instead. It will go to a top speed in the case of the saloon of 280 kilometers an hour, that's 174 miles per hour, or in the case of the estate at 270 kilometers an hour, 168 miles per hour. Those are with the optional raised limiter, but of course restricted to that maximum speed. It is one thing to be able to produce all of that power, but then you actually need to use it. And this is where Mercedes-AMG can draw on their experience with Formula One, particularly when it comes to hybrid powertrains. But let's just take a moment to take this in. A 2-litre engine that produces 476 horsepower. That's a little bit absurd. Anyway, let me close this down just for the moment. There's a lot else happening as well. For example, the rear wheel steering, where the wheels can turn up to 2.5 degrees. That's to help you at slower speed, turning them in the opposite direction to the front wheels to help with shortening the turning radius, and at higher speed to go in the same direction to help with stability. Around the back, obviously here, we do have the various charging cables and things in the car at the moment, because naturally on the opposite side to the fuel filler cap, you have your electric car charging port. If you'd like to charge it up, you do get a total of 13 kilometers of range, so about 8 miles, and you can drive up to 125 kilometers per hour. I think that's about 70 or so miles per hour. So enough for the daily driving, for being quiet around your local neighborhood, for example, and for maximizing your efficiency if you're responsible with charging it up. And from my experience of using performance hybrids, it's actually quite a good way to go about it. And I suppose we will find out in the not too distant future what this will be like in terms of the experience for the occupants. Before we look more closely at some of the extra exterior options, let's take a look inside here to run through this in detail. Now, this particular car is very highly equipped. As I said, these are the new second generation of the AMG performance seats, giving you some support and comfort. These additional side bolsters, as you can see, the AMG embossed logo there in the center of the backrest. But then this new area down here where they have literally cut out sections to take 2 kilos of weight out of the seat overall. We've seen the introduction of the newer style steering wheel in recent times, where you have these additional spokes with lots of your controls inside there. But let me take a quick seat on board the car to show you a little bit more about it, where we can just press once for the power, once more for the ignition, so we can have a quick little look and explore around the interior. Let me just mute the sound system. Now, the MBUX system integrates everything that you would want to have out of this kind of car. For the C63 S, of course, you also have the AMG specific options, for example, track pace, where you can set and record your lap times, see the delta, look back at all of your drag racing and racetrack telemetry information afterwards, which is really quite fun to be able to do. You also have the AMG performance screens and displays. You have settings. In fact, let's have a quick look inside at some of these, because this is what I always find fascinating. It will give you direct feedback as to exactly what you're doing, your charts, your RPMs, and obviously with so much going on with this hybrid powertrain, there's a lot more to it than you have with just a combustion engine. So this is going to be giving you a lot of data. Check this out with your charge, your power, of everything that's happening. And talking torque, by the way, you get 320 newton meters from the electric, you get 545 newton meters from the combustion engine, but the way that they work through the different gears, the 9-speed auto gearbox for the main combustion engine and the 2-speed gearbox for the electric motor, is to actually produce a peak 1020 newton meters. It's really quite clever. Inside here, without going through every single setting and every single option, you obviously have your media, your information, your charging details, if you'd like to go to the Mercedes Me Charge locations, or whatever it might be exactly, your climate panel down towards the bottom, where you have the fun details where when you change it, you've also got the illumination inside the air conditioning vents. Now for the driver, in addition to the digital display right in front, and obviously both the door is currently open, plus we don't have the engine running at this point, you've got this very futuristic space age display. You can change that, but beyond this you also have the latest generation of your controls just here, whereby you can change different settings. For example, going through the dampers with this one, manual, you've got the hotkey to be able to just change those, sound through a few different settings, balanced or performance, and you can jump straight to your different driving modes as well. And this is where you have various different levels of recuperation. So you have 4 different settings which vary from one extreme allowing the car to coast on, and at the other extreme effectively one pedal driving, and you rotate between those by toggling this dial around, or you go back to your main driving modes and you can turn it up through sport, into race, sport plus, and race at the far end, into full electric, or into holding the battery, or individual, or even into the slippery mode. So you've got lots and lots of different settings, and I look forward to driving the car. Actually, interestingly, when you go into full electric, it goes darker. I think that's probably saving some battery, probably just part of the general theme, but all of this needs to be discovered when we actually have an opportunity to go out and drive the car in full. We've also got a few nice finishing touches inside here, the carbon fibre across the dashboard, this contrast yellow stitching which also runs and wraps all the way around. I quite like how that's presented, and then all of the ambient lighting which just sits behind these metal trim panels, obviously your seat controls there for your heated and ventilated seats, all just giving a lovely finishing touch to everything around you. A few fixed controls down here to just jump to some hotkeys, including the fingerprint to log in and instantly have all of your settings loaded up directly. We also have a few further storage cubbies and areas, wireless charging pads, some cup holders, decent amount of space in here, some USB-C ports. Close that back up, open up the armrest inside here. We actually have the key for the car, this style of Mercedes-AMG key, a few more USB ports, some lighting inside there. Everything feels really high quality. It's a very grown-up car for a C-Class, for a C63. That's obviously one of the things that's a big part of all of this. If I press the button again, just switch it off for the time being. Some nice animations on the dashboard as well. I want to come around and also show you in the back of the saloon, so we can see how much space we've got back here. Equivalent fit and finish you find in the rear to match with the front. Obviously the saloon, the seat is actually quite far back in front where it was, but even there I've got some space in front of me, put it a bit further forwards, like the passenger seat here for example. You've got plenty of room, you've got your climate control settings down here, and everything, again as I just said, finished in the same way as you find up front. Armrest to pull down forwards, cup holder storage area pops out at the front, just a small little tray right there. Fold that back. Obviously these can fold. We'll head to the boot in a second and check that out, but also very nice view with all of the panoramic glass roof up above you, the 2 parts of the sunroof area that you have there, even more lighting here, just these nice touches that make it feel very, very welcoming. Then to come back around towards the rear, you have the black chrome for the AMG badge, this red outline for the C63 S badge as we first saw on the GT Black series, but also on the GT 4-door 63S E-Performance. To open this up again, you have a smaller lip spoiler without the full aero kit, by the way. Back here is where you have some of those controls to pop down the seats. Just press them straight down nice and easily. Obviously you do have this little bit of a hump here. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it does slightly detract from the amount of available space. But I think once you folded those seats down, you're not going to have an issue, even in this car, getting plenty of luggage back in there with the power fold tailgate to pop this back up into place. Literally nice and easy. Fold this back. I want to make sure I don't trap the seatbelt in there, so maybe I'll pull that out first and then click it into place. Job done. Let's come and have a quick look as well at the Estate, or as they're known in Germany, the T-Model variant of the C63S, which is launched at exactly the same time. It is the only derivative, by the way, of the C63. There's no non-S, it is the C63S E-Performance. Obviously the fundamental difference here being the amount of practicality that you get with the power fold rear hatch and the entire space at the back. Of course, the parcel shelf tucking itself back in, and even here, you lose a tiny bit of space, but perhaps I would have thought, considering the amount of stuff that you have effectively within this, that you could lose even more than that. Obviously, plenty of practicality and everything that you'd want from this kind of car. Just close that back down very quickly, show you the exhaust tailpipes and look at the finish that they have as well. The traditionally shaped trapezoid tailpipes with the AMG logo just on the inside of them as well. In terms of options for the car, of course, you have a wide range of different colors that you can choose to go for, and different trims for the interior as well. I just want to show you inside here with the red contrast that this particular car has, the red seat belts, the red inlays, and the red stitching as well that you can see around, but otherwise effectively very similar. You also, of course, have a few different wheel options. Neither of these cars have the standard wheel. This is one of your upgrade 20-inch wheel options, 19 by default, that you have on this car, and you can see the inlays that you have with the dual tone of the finish on there. But the saloon over here also has the new 20-inch forged wheel, the lightweight AMG wheel, a new design with the AMG logo within one of the spokes just there. Very complicated design, but looks good over the high performance carbon ceramic brakes that we have tucked in behind it. Obviously the launch choice color here being high-tech silver that we've seen featuring on a number of different AMG models in recent times for their market presentations. Obviously, with the inclusion of the battery pack, the motor, and everything connected to the hybrid system, it's going to be bringing more weight with it. The battery actually weighs 89 kilos, bringing the total weight of the new C63 SE Performance to 2,111 kilos, and that's no small number. Obviously a massive step up of 170 horsepower from the previous car, but it remains to be seen what that will translate to when you're actually out driving it, and I can't wait to find out. Now, there are plenty of other details I haven't mentioned. For example, on the wings just here, the very sporty look that you get, also with the turbo E-Performance badge. Around the exterior with the options, there are two carbon fiber kits, an upper kit, which is things like the spoiler and the mirror caps, and the lower kit, which includes the diffuser, the side skirts, and if you have the shorter front splitter, that would be as well. If you have the aero kit with the bigger rear spoiler, then you have the gloss black extended piece that runs all the way around that we have over on this car. If you take a look towards the estate, over on that car, it has the regular, smaller front splitter, we could say. But obviously this is a big change in terms of technology, incorporating different things that Mercedes-AMG learn through Formula One, through other motorsport race series, and bringing them to the C-Class. Now, as a petrol head, obviously the end of the era of a V8 in the C63 is a big deal. Obviously this is the direction things have to go, and the question is, will this bring the emotion that these cars have always offered? That's the most important thing, I suppose, about it. And obviously with so many different options, settings, modes, and things that you can experiment with, I suspect there's going to be quite a lot of fun behind the wheel. For now though, what an opportunity to be here in an undisclosed location in Affalterbach to take a first look around both the saloon and estate variants of the brand new Mercedes-AMG C63 S E-Performance. That's it for this time though. Thank you very much for watching. Do let me know in the comments what you think about the new latest generation car, but I will see you again very soon. Cheers.